In the past, I've done videos on disappearing objects phenomenon, and I like to reason everything out, but there are things that I can't explain, and one of the things is the weather. Everybody talks about the weather, but I was in a store one time and I'm checking out, and this old lady, she looks up at me, she's checking me out, and she says, we don't get normal weather anymore. So she put that in my head. So I started paying attention to the weather more over the years. Now, with the disappearing objects phenomenon, I paid more attention to what I was doing, my work procedures. Why, when I would take a radio apart, there would always be one screw missing. Well, I went through that. I showed you that when you pull a piece of wire across the top of your workbench, it can flick screws off to the side, off the bench. Also, maybe something you're working with is magnetized and it'll pick the screw up and drop it somewhere else. There's a whole bunch of things. I showed you that. But one thing I couldn't handle was the weather. That woman said to me, we don't have normal weather anymore. And then when I got here, I noticed when I would go walk into the store opens at a certain time. It would start raining as soon as I come out my back door. It would rain harder, and then on the way back it would stop. Well, the guy from the town, he actually had a saying that this other guy told him about this area. It has to do with the mountain down the back, the way the storm comes through, the way the temperature rises and changes, the condensation, and all that stuff. A storm as it's coming over will most likely start raining and stop at a certain time. And because I'm going to the store, the store opens at a certain time. I'm going to be coming out my back door. Now I carry an umbrella. As I start walking towards the store, it starts to rain. I put the umbrella up. I get what I want at the store. I come back, and on the way back, it stops. So I have to take the umbrella and put it in the living room and open it up so it'll dry out. Many times this has happened. And you would say, that's crazy, that's impossible. Yes, I believe you. I'm with you, but it does happen. I can't explain it. And there are storms that come here, and we have all kinds of warnings. We have tornadoes around us, but again, with these mountains or whatever it is, with the way the area is laid out, the storm splits in two halves. One half goes to our south, and one goes to our north. Same with the snow. People around us, on the bottom of us and above us, get more snow than we get. It's like Shangri-La. And I started kidding around with it. But anyway, let's get back to the impossible always happening. Now, I told you a few times before that it seems yard sales are one of my hobbies. Now, what you're seeing there is that 70 show season 1 on top of the radio that I've been putting back together to put back in the case. It's a matter of cleaning it. I work on it a little bit at a time. Now, I have the radio out and open, so when I look at it, I don't think about buying any other radios. Just looking at the radio and all the components, that's enough for me now. That's what I'm working on. But anyway, there's that 70 show. That comes from season 1, $2 was sealed. I got it at a yard sale. Now, let me tell you about yard sales. For over 6 years, I've been paying attention. It rains on the weekend. It's impossible. It's absolutely impossible, but that's what happens. So you have April showers bring May flowers. So any yard sale in April used to be subjected to rain because you got a lot of April showers. Not anymore. The showers are most likely in May now. So I'll give you the name of the neighborhood. It's called the Highlands. It's off of 462, which is Old Lincoln Highway. It's a neighborhood. There's stump houses. People have pin oaks on their front lawn. It's a Mennonite area. A lot of people in that area are Mennonites, and they have yard sale twice a year. And there's a young girl that runs it, and she keeps changing the date of it every year because they get rained out. Now the yard sale is for Friday and Saturday. Right? And I told you last year in one of my videos that I went over there, and Friday started to get rained out. The girl told me it wasn't going to rain the next day. I went back on the Saturday because it's Friday and Saturday, and it was. I had my umbrella up, and it was starting to rain, and it rained hard. Right. So this year, I'm going over to the yard sale, and I'm thinking to myself about the rain. The last 6 years, it's rained, no matter where the girl moves the yard sale to. So that's totally impossible, right? But yet it happens. And this year I didn't meet the girl, but she just sits there in a garage with other people, and she's just like, I don't know. She says, I moved the date around, and it doesn't rain all week here. It rains just on the weekend, and that's another impossible thing. But after a while, you just like, well, it's going to rain this weekend. And so anyway, last Saturday or last Friday, uh, I I looked on the map on my radar before I left. There was nothing on the radar. Now I had watched the news, and the guy said how the storms would form like over us. And I'm looking at the radar, and it can't possibly rain. So it takes it takes about a half hour for me to get over there, something like that. So I start walking, and I get there, and it's the nice temperature. It's really nice. Well, as far as the sun and that, but it was very heavy air, very high pollution. And as I'm walking through the yard sale, everybody over there is shell shocked because there's like over 6 years of this rain on their yard sale. So that's what they talk about. So I'm walking up there and I'm looking at stuff, and the guy looks up at me. He goes, "It's going to rain at 10." And I think I was over there at 7:30. And I keep saying to myself, uh, basically, move on. Don't spend too much time kibitzing or talking to people. But I still do because I know them all. So I get talking, and then they all know, uh, not Menno Fisher, what is it? Wilmer Note. Now, Wilmer Note was a guy on my walking route in a different neighborhood. He had a big farm type property. And one day, the neighbors over there told me he died. Well, he didn't die. He's over in the Highlands in a smaller house. So I've been going over there trying to, but he's always at church. He's always doing activities. He's 80 years old. So I'm over there, and I'm talking to people. They all know him. He's only over there. He's there 6 years now. Uh, so they all know him because he keeps his property like really nice. So anyway, so I'm talking to these people, and at each yard sale I'm going to, it's going to start raining, and you look up at the sky, and there's no sign of rain at all, right? So I'm walking around, and I saw this video, and it was $2. It was sealed, and I said, "All right, I'll get that." Now I'm a big that '70s show fan. What happened was I used to aim my antenna at Harrisburg. They did not a compact. They repacked the high definition stations. They moved them around, and it's on the low frequency VHF, this channel that gets that 70 show. Plus, they moved it to 9 o'clock at night, which that's when I go to bed. So even if I can pick the station up some nights, if I turn my antenna around, it's too late for me to stay up and watch it. So anyway, I buy this thing, and I'm walking, and I hear a clap of thunder. And you look up at the sky, there's no clouds. And I look at the guy, he's sitting there, one of the guys, he goes, "It's coming, it's really coming." And I said, when I left walking here, I said, there was nothing. He goes, "Yeah, but it's forming over us. The hot air and the cold air." So I said, "Okay, all right, I've seen it do that before. I saw it one time, train, they call it training, over, what the road is that? Well, anyway, on the other side of town, it was actually forming. I was watching it on the radio. It was forming right there. And Lampeter Road. It was forming on Lampeter Road and coming across into Shangri-La. So we got 4 inches of rain in an hour for 2 hours. All right, that's the time this area did in Shangri-La. All right, it basically, Shangri-La is an old movie. Go look it up. It's very interesting. So I have seen it do that where it is possible with temperature inversions or whatever that this area that the storm always goes around can actually form over us and we get destroyed here. So I'm walking back and I can hear the thunder, I can see the flashes, but it's not bad. But I don't have my umbrella. Normally, I always take an umbrella. I call it insurance. It comes down. It comes down like it wasn't hail. It was the amount of rain just before hail. And I cut through Walmart parking lot, and down the back of Walmart parking lot, all the rain runs down. It's a foot deep. I'm walking through foot. I'm soaking wet. I've never been that wet in probably 50 years. When I was a kid, I get caught in a rainstorm. I'm walking through 1 foot water deep. The water is 1 foot deep. I have my crappy sneakers on. I'm walking through the water, and it can't go anywhere because that's how hard it's raining. And it normally doesn't do that here. So anyway, I get up through the vacant lot over to the dollar store. Now behind the dollar store, there's these sewers, and you can see the water. These giant vortexes go in the water. The whole parking lot is slanted. So at the bottom where I have to go to cut across, it's a foot deep, and I'm walking through, and I'm totally drenched. And I got home. I start thinking about, okay, so now that's Friday. The next day it rained again. Now it's Monday. It's not raining today. We were in a drought condition, and when it would rain only on the weekend. And then we had one period where it rained, but only at night, which that you can see that with the temperature changes and stuff like that. But I spent so much time on disappearing objects phenomenon and proving that when you work with stuff, you got to be very careful that, like I said, you could put the thing away in the wrong place. I've done that. I found it. I stay with it, but the weather, you can't control it. And you keep saying, well, I keep saying, how could it possibly always rain on Saturday, Friday, and Saturday? And then Sunday it clears up. It's just it's impossible. But I don't know. And then how does the storm know it's the weekend? That's what I want to know. And because temperature in that isn't based on the time of year. It is and isn't, but it'll get a pattern where it just rains on the weekend. And this happened to me years ago. I worked in TRW, and I was into 100-mile bike rides, and it rained every single weekend. And it was on the news. After a while, it was beyond the news. It's going to rain really bad this weekend. And this went on for half the summer. And the guys Friday night, and they would be throwing stuff at the meteorologist. And it's just a pattern that's set up. And there are people like, well, how can it only rain on the weekend? Right? And I was sitting there and I'm like, oh, I'm going to change this. Right? So I went into work and I went to the big boss. I said, look, I'm going to work Saturdays here, but I'm taking Wednesday off. And he goes, why would you do that? I said, well, I have not backlog, I have a buffer of not buffer. I have a surplus of stock that I've repaired in there, a buffer. And I don't need to come in. I don't need to come in every day, technically. So he says, okay. He says, you can have off Wednesday, but don't go telling everybody else because everybody's going to do it. I said, it keeps raining on the weekend. So I took off Wednesday, and I would work Saturday just so I'd have a day. And it was hilarious. You're out by yourself, maybe bike riding or doing, and the sun's out. And as the weekend comes, and it did that year, did it rain? And I had a guy at work. The next year, we had a summer. It was one of the coolest summers on record. And he bought a swimming pool. He only used it twice. And I went by him one day, and he goes, "You won't believe it." He says, "I bought a swimming pool. I put it up. It's been too cold." I said, "Yeah, well, we broke the record for being the coolest summer." So this stuff does happen. But this poor girl, I didn't even go to the house that I know she sits at in the garage and tease her. Because last year she told me it wouldn't rain Saturday. And I went over there with my umbrella. And as I'm getting over there, and then you see all the people, they have garages, and some of them are set up to do yard sales. And then as it starts raining, they start bringing the stuff into the garage. But she told me, oh, no, it's not going to rain tomorrow. It did. It rained. It didn't rain that Friday night. But this time I'm like, all right, got to go Friday. And you don't get as many people doing the yard sale because they're at work. So it's a trade-off. If you go on Saturday and it don't rain, there's more people outside doing the yard sale. So, like I said, I went over there and I got soaking wet coming back. But I did get my That 70s Show uh, DVD for the first season. And yet, yes, I laugh. This That 70s Show, now, this is only the first season. It made me laugh in several places or several videos so far. And what I noticed a few months ago was I haven't laughed in a really long time. And that's one of the things as you get older, I don't know, you just get worn out. So I'm over at one of the neighbors' houses, and the daughter, when she was really young, would always wave at me and talk to me. And then she got to an age she was very shy. So now she's at the level, I fixed her bike for her. So she does talk to me. So I'm back over there, and we're doing something else. I think I was returning. They gave me some for Easter. I think they gave me some ham and something. So I was bringing the plate back, and I'm talking to the mom, and the daughter's there, and she's hanging out around me. So she's sitting on this thing by the front door. It's like an old antique chair of some sort. And I thought the daughter was going to be really smart, but she's like she's kind of a pain in the ass. So she's sitting on the chair and she keeps tilting it, and the mother keeps saying stuff to her. And I said, I said, uh, she maybe if she falls off the chair, she'll learn. The mother says, no, 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 you don't understand. I'm not worried about her falling. I'm worried about her breaking this antique thing. I started laughing. It's funny. Here you think the mother is telling the daughter, you're going to get hurt. You're going to get hurt. No, the mother was saying, you're going to break that. You're going to break that. And then for a couple of weeks, I chuckled over that. It was the first time I found it funny because I thought the little girl was going to get hurt. I was worried about her, and the mother was worried about her breaking what she was sitting on. But it's hilarious stuff. But I just want to tell you about the rainstorm. And a couple people asked me, what have I been up to? Well, during the summer, I sort of switch to yard selling and doing stuff on the house and mowing lawn. You got to mow the lawn here. Man, with what rain we have on the weekend, the grass, you get 2 weeks on grass. Once it stops raining, you can go 2 weeks without mowing. I have to mow. I mow every 10 days, and I don't like mowing. I got that new mower from the woman that with the kid. She had extra one. She put it up for sale, and I bought it. But it's amazing stuff, the way the weather goes. And like I said, that woman one day, I'm checking out, and this old lady looks up at me. We don't get normal spring and fall anymore. We don't get spring and fall anymore. The weather's always dangerous, and it's absolutely right. And then a few times I've been in Wawa checking out, and they're telling you on TV that in a certain area the snow is going to be really bad, or the rain's going to be really bad. And someone will always say they're always hyping it up. And if you read the paper here, the people, they drive through big puddles of water and they drowned. The saying is, turn around or you'll drown. I say, drive ahead and you'll be dead. And so many times I'm in the Wawa line, and someone says they always complain about the snow, and they're always warned. They get killed here. They go out on the highway, and they don't know how to drive in snow, and they get killed. And that's what they're warning the idiots that are going to die, that they're going to die, but it doesn't do any good. But so many times I've been in the line, I just keep quiet. I don't know why they're telling us that. I'm thinking this guy's going to die. It's that funny because you only need like an inch of snow to get killed. You're driving along, four-wheel drive car or truck or whatever, and you're driving along and the guy in front of you stops. And you got four-wheel go, but not four-wheel stop. It is like what it is. I've seen in New Jersey, I've seen four-wheel drives go flying off the highway. Really bad accident. And I just kept driving my car and going to work. I didn't stop. And they they're zipping around everybody else that knows better, and then all of a sudden they go off on the medium, the center medium, and they're flipping end over end. And I just look straight ahead, because you got to watch, because in New Jersey, people rubberneck really bad. So if this guy's in the medium, flipping around, spinning, ready to die, somebody will turn to look at him. They'll slow down to look. So you got to be careful. What you got to pay attention to who's in front of you, not what's behind you or on the side of you. But I got a kick out of the fact that it only rains on the weekend, and it's been doing it for 6 years, and that's impossible. It's absolutely impossible. But there I am, soaking wet, walking through 1 foot, because the way parking lots drain, they're made for a certain amount of rain. And if you got like a 100-year storm, or one of them storms, it's almost hail. And when you look on the radar image is red or yellow, and then it gets dark red or dark, maybe orange. That's what it was. And all those sewers, they're not filled with leaves, but I'm walking by these things, and these things are giant vortexes, and I'm laughing. I'm like, well, at least I wore my crappiest sneakers over there, thinking maybe if I got caught in the rain. But it took like 2 days for those sneakers to dry. But that's some of the stuff I'm doing. Two people, one guy just asked me again, like, what am I doing? Yes, I am sort of working on something. If you followed this far, I'm noticing, these long distance AM radios. And basically, there's 2 levels of those, and that's what I'm going to do the video about. Real quick, just give you a heads up. I think that's it. All right, that's it. Stay dry.